Shalom Chaverim. Our parasha this week is Parashat Shemini. Shemini means eighth. Parashat Shemini is found in Leviticus chapter 9 verse 1 up to Leviticus chapter 11 verse 47. Looking at the name of the parasha, Shemini, meaning eighth. That means 8 is the centerpiece of this parasha. We know that the number 7 is the number of completion. So what is the number 8? The number 8, actually we can see that it is the next number up from the number of completion. On the day of Shavuot, 7 weeks after the Exodus, there was the Mt Sinai revelation. On that day, there was total unity among all the Israelites. They were together as one. And there was this perfection that happened where the Lord came down with the Torah. But you know what, Kaveri? Only 40 days later, the sin of the golden calf took place. And this was a major disaster before God and a major disaster before men. As a result of the sin of the golden calf, all of a sudden Israel was now vulnerable again to the carnality of ordinary men. But several months later, we find that the construction of the tabernacle was performed under the leadership of Moses. And the Lord had said, "Tell them to build me a tabernacle so that I may dwell among them." The writings of the sages tell us that after the completion of the tabernacle, which is what we read, the completion of the tabernacle is the current readings that we are doing now. They tell us that when the leaders of Israel tried to assemble the components of the tabernacle into one structure, the components were not fitting well into one structure. How do they tell us this? Our sages say that on that day, which is on the 8th day, the tabernacle erected permanently and the Kohanim assumed their new role. So what is it about the 8? Why on the 8th day? We find that when we read in Leviticus chapter 9 verse 23, I'll read in Hebrew first. It says, "Vayavo Moshe ve'Aharon el Ohel Moed." In the English, it says, Moses and Aaron came to the tent of meeting. There's something very, very amazing when we read this in the Hebrew language. Vayavo. The word vayavo means that he came. Because the word vayavo is singular. But then it says he came, Moses and Aharon. If it was going to be in plural, we were going to read it as vayavo'u in Hebrew. But now we read it as vayavo. So what has happened here? There's a togetherness between Moses and Aharon. How can you describe two people as one? There's that togetherness where they are acting together as one. So we find that when we love one another, we become more than complete. Because this is after the vayavo of Moses and Aharon. This is when the perfection of the 8th day was accomplished and the tabernacle was finally assembled into one perfect unit. And the Kohanim then took over their role as priests. So, brothers and sisters, love gives perfection. Love gives perfection. And you find that this is the reason that Yeshua, when he was asked in Matthew chapter 22, verse 36 to 40, he answered as follows. Matthew chapter 22, verse 36 to 40. "Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the Torah?" And he said to him, "You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself." The entire Torah and the prophets hang on these two commandments. Haverim, the takeaway that I get from this week's Parashat Shemini, is that we must love one another so that we may leap from completion unto perfection. Call to.